You were cordially invited to celebrate the birth of P. Diddy, but what led Will Smith, once vocal in hyping up the lavish parties thrown by Diddy, to now publicly disavow all ties with him, going so far as to stand in court confronting his former friend head-on? This isn't just a simple falling out between Hollywood superstars, it's a wake-up call exposing a web of intimidation and manipulation that has trapped victims and their families for years. There was a time when Will Smith and Diddy were inseparable names in Hollywood's legendary rivalries, where fine liquor, beautiful women, and hushed whispers mingled with music and dim lights. Will was there, raising glasses, bringing his son along, laughing heartily beside Diddy like a soulmate. Yet now, in a federal courtroom, he stands on the opposing side, each testimony like a shove pushing Diddy deeper into legal peril. So can someone like Diddy, who once stood at the pinnacle of power, withstand the rising tide of truth, or will he be drowned by the very soulmate he once trusted? On a tense May Day, a federal courtroom in New York became the epicenter of global attention as Will Smith, the Oscar-winning movie star, took the witness stand to confront Sean Diddy Combs. Here, Smith's testimony wasn't just an accusation, it was a nuclear bomb exposing Hollywood's darkest secrets, where power, money, and manipulation have concealed heinous crimes for years. "I lived in fear every single day," Smith declared, his voice steady yet filled with emotion. "Now I'm here, not just for myself, but for my son, for my family, and for everyone Diddy has hurt." As Will Smith began his testimony, the courtroom fell into a hushed silence. With a resolute demeanor, Smith recounted the history of his relationship with Diddy, dating back to the 1990s when both were rising stars. "We were friends," Smith said, his eyes tinged with regret. "I admired his talent, his confidence, and the way he built his empire." At those words, many felt a pang of sorrow, their minds racing with questions, wondering how such a beautiful professional bond could so swiftly turn into a fierce courtroom confrontation. The answer lies in the special parties Smith was invited to, Diddy's lavish estates in Los Angeles, Miami, and New York. Events that seemed like mere gatherings of the elite but gradually revealed dark undercurrents that even Smith hadn't anticipated. According to Smith's testimony, these parties were unlike any social events he had ever attended. "At first, I thought they were just Hollywood high society gatherings with celebrities, expensive wine, and music," Smith recalled. "But then I realized something was off. There were rooms you entered but weren't allowed to leave freely. There were people there to monitor everything, and most importantly, there were cameras everywhere." At this point, Will Smith presented his first piece of evidence, an email from 2015 sent from an account linked to Diddy inviting him to a private party in Miami. The email, verified for authenticity by FBI digital forensics experts, contained cryptic lines such as, "Will, this is the last chance I'm giving you for us to connect. Don't let things get complicated." Smith explained that after attending a few of Diddy's parties, he began declining similar invitations, thinking that would be the end of it. However, he soon received another anonymous email. The sender didn't say much, only attaching a short video clip. In the video, Smith appeared in a compromising situation from one of Diddy's earlier parties, a moment he was unaware had been recorded, as he had been drugged and not fully conscious at the time. "That's how they trapped us in a nightmare," he said. According to Smith, the video was recorded at Diddy's birthday party, an event disguised as a meet and greet and networking opportunity for Hollywood stars. But upon arriving, Smith immediately sensed something was off. A sprawling mansion, black SUVs clogging the entrance, heavy security, and phones confiscated at the door all created an atmosphere unlike any entertainment event he had ever attended. Inside, dim lighting, strange music, mirrors covering the walls, and a constant feeling of being watched made it feel more like a ritual than a celebration. As Smith entered, Diddy approached him and said something that, at the time, Smith thought was absolutely crazy. Diddy's words were, "Will, you're part of the family." Now, with a savage grin on his face, Diddy immediately led Will into a back room where he witnessed scenes that left him frozen. Celebrities, both men and women, performing for a group of spectators, watching as if it were mere entertainment. Some were far too young to be there. And Diddy, according to Will, just stood there, laughing with glee. Will knew he had been drawn into a place from which escape wasn't easy. From that moment, Will Smith's life turned to a darker chapter, one that stretched across decades. He described it as an invisible web of manipulation where each time he declined Diddy's invitations, his career suffered in ways that were hard to explain. Roles were pulled, projects were abruptly cancelled, and damaging rumors spread online. Will was gay, Will was mentally unstable, or Will was unfaithful. Though Diddy never openly threatened him, the message was clear: Will Smith, you have no control over your own life. They told me that if I didn't keep participating, the video would be sent to the media. To Jada, and it would destroy my family. I lived in fear that the whole world would see me differently, not as Will Smith, the actor, but as a failed man who couldn't protect his family. But this was not the most shocking evidence Will Smith brought to the federal courtroom. What left the entire room stunned was Smith's accusation that Diddy didn't just target him but also deeply harmed his son, Jaden Smith. According to Smith, in 2013, Diddy invited Jaden to an intimate meeting under the pretense of supporting his music career. Given the trust and good relationship with Diddy at the time, Smith immediately supported Jaden's participation, encouraging him to connect with the music mogul. However, Smith now calls this the worst mistake of his life. He revealed that after the event, Jaden returned in a state of panic, refusing to share details despite Smith's persistent questions. From that point on, Jaden began showing signs of psychological trauma. My son was no longer himself, Smith said, tears streaming down his face. Jaden became withdrawn, fearful, and I knew something horrific had happened. But I was powerless because when I confronted him in anger, Diddy showed me he held all the cards, videos, power, and an entire system backing him. As Smith concluded his testimony, the courtroom erupted in murmurs. Diddy's legal team, led by Benjamin Carter, a renowned attorney known for turning the tables in high-profile cases, swiftly launched a counterattack. Carter described Smith's testimony as a fabricated story designed to smear his client. He argued that Smith, who faced backlash for slapping Chris Rock at the 2022 Oscars, was attempting to deflect public attention from his personal issues. No such video exists, Carter declared, urging the court to dismiss Smith's allegations for lack of concrete physical evidence. Meanwhile, Diddy sat at the defendant's table, his face nearly expressionless. However, courtroom observers noticed his hands clenching tightly, as if suppressing anger or anxiety. When the judge asked if he wished to directly rebut Smith's testimony, Diddy, through his attorney, declined to respond. Instead, his team presented a series of documents, including letters and contracts, to demonstrate that his relationship with Smith was merely standard business. They highlighted a 2012 email in which Smith thanked Diddy for supporting one of Jaden's music projects, using it to refute claims that Diddy had malicious intentions toward the Smith family. That was incomprehensible, you know. It was just so hard to understand the level of human overwhelm and rage by the oppressive influence of Diddy's power. Will Smith lost his composure and shouted, "You keep lying. You gave me no choice. Every time I thought about speaking out, I'd get a text or a call reminding me that you could destroy me and Jaden at any moment." How old was he? He had his whole future ahead of him, and I had no choice but to stay silent to protect my son. Visibly broken, Smith revealed how for years he was coerced into attending Diddy's parties to keep compromising videos of himself and Jaden under wraps. To bolster the credibility of Smith's testimony, prosecutors immediately presented additional evidence provided by Smith, a series of text messages and recorded calls from disposable phone numbers sent to Smith between 2014 and 2019 containing veiled threats such as, "Don't make us take action. Your family deserves peace, don't they? You know you should stay quiet, Smith." Alongside this, another piece of evidence was presented in court, a bank transaction report showing that Smith transferred $500,000 in 2016 to a company believed to be a front for Diddy. "It wasn't a loan or an investment," Smith explained. "It was the price I paid to keep my family safe, but even then, I've lived in fear up to this very moment, long after he was arrested." Prosecutors argued that this payment was part of an extortion scheme Diddy used to control Smith and others in the entertainment industry. And cruelty that was a horrific night. As you can imagine, according to Smith's testimony, even though Diddy had been in custody for months, his associates continued to target the Smith family. After Diddy's arrest, Smith selfishly thought he could avoid seeking justice or holding Diddy accountable. He believed he would never face Diddy in court, wanting only for himself and his family to live peacefully like ordinary people. Nowhere near that, man. Ain't none of that stupid. So whenever y'all hear it, if somebody says that, it's a damn lie. But things were not as simple as Smith had hoped. Diddy's network was determined to ensure nothing worsened his charges, relentlessly harassing Smith to remain silent before the media and public, forbidding him from releasing any damaging information about Diddy. Despite Smith's compliance with their demands, as Diddy's case grew increasingly dire, the pressure on the Smith family intensified. Will Smith said that Diddy's camp wants an "if we go down, we're taking everyone down with us" approach. If they can't save Diddy, they will drag everyone involved down, including himself and Jaden. At this point, Benjamin Carter, Diddy's lead attorney, accused Smith of fabricating stories to exact revenge on Diddy over past personal disputes while questioning the authenticity of the emails and text messages. Immediately, Olivia Harper, Smith's attorney, rose to counter. Harper argued that the absence of physical video evidence did not diminish Smith's testimony, as manipulators like Diddy know how to cover their tracks. She urged the court to examine the bank transaction records, emphasizing that the $500,000 Smith transferred to Diddy's company was clear evidence of extortion. She further stressed that Smith had no reason to risk his career with such allegations if they weren't true. Will Smith has lost everything, his reputation, his peace, and even his sleep, because of what Diddy did to him and his family, Harper declared, sending a chill through the courtroom. Meanwhile, Jada Pinkett Smith, present in the courtroom to support her husband, couldn't hold back tears as Smith spoke about Jaden. Some reporters noted that Jada repeatedly clutched the hand of a companion as if seeking comfort. As the trial reached a critical juncture, Will Smith presented new evidence that left Diddy's legal team speechless. It was a secretly recorded audio from 2018 captured by one of Smith's former assistants, in which Diddy could be heard threatening Smith over the phone. "You know what I'm capable of. Don't force me to expose everything. You want Jada and the kids to live in peace, don't you? Then behave." The audio recording, verified by FBI audio experts as Diddy's voice, delivered a powerful blow to the defense's claim that there was no evidence of threats. Additionally, Smith revealed evidence showing that after Diddy's arrest in 2024, anonymous calls began to flood his family, pressuring him to stay silent with the media. An email from an untraceable address warned that if Smith dared to speak out, those videos will appear on every news outlet. Harper presented a series of text messages from disposable phone numbers sent to Smith and Jada containing similar threats. "This isn't just the work of one individual," Harper emphasized. "This is a system designed to protect Diddy and enforce the silence of victims like Will Smith." Diddy's legal team attempted to counter, arguing that the recording could have been fabricated and that the messages weren't directly linked to their client. However, their confidence seemed to waver when prosecutors introduced an FBI report revealing financial transactions between a company owned by Diddy and individuals believed to have sent the threatening messages. The report disclosed that Diddy's front company had spent millions on reputation protection activities, including hiring individuals to intimidate potential witnesses. Another witness, a former hacker who worked for a cybersecurity firm linked to Diddy, confirmed he was tasked with deleting videos from servers, though some copies survived and were later seized by the FBI. The final piece of evidence was an internal document from Bad Boy Entertainment, leaked by a former employee, detailing a special guest list for Diddy's parties. Will Smith's name appeared multiple times, accompanied by notes like "requires monitoring" and "priority confidentiality." While the document didn't directly prove wrongdoing, it reinforced Smith's testimony that he had been surveilled and manipulated for years. As the day's trial concluded, Sean Diddy Combs remained silent, but his eyes seemed to speak volumes, a mix of anger, fear, and resignation. Those in the courtroom described Diddy as a man cornered, his face rigid, hands clenched tightly on the defendant's table. Yet his legal team, led by Benjamin Carter, relentlessly worked to defend their client, launching arguments to undermine Will Smith's testimony. Meanwhile, Will Smith left the courtroom looking exhausted but resolute. Facing a swarm of reporters outside the federal courthouse, he paused, took a deep breath, and said, "I'm not doing this for myself. I'm doing this for my son, my family, and everyone hurt by Diddy and his system." His words rang out like a declaration of war, not just against Diddy but against an entire system that has concealed wrongdoing in the entertainment industry for decades. The crowd of reporters erupted with questions, but Smith shook his head, got into his car, and drove away, leaving behind an atmosphere charged with tension and reflection. Diddy's trial is ongoing, but Will Smith's testimony has already shaken Hollywood and the world. It forces us to ask how many more secrets are hidden in the entertainment industry. Will justice prevail, or will power and money continue to shield those like Diddy? Whatever the answer, one thing is certain: Will Smith's story serves as a stark warning that even the brightest stars can become victims of a dark system. From the depths of this trial emerges a profound lesson: no one is untouchable before the law, and fame cannot hide the truth forever. The UAT's legal system, one of the strongest foundations for uncovering reality, strips away the glossy veneer to reach the core of truth. Here, truth is brought to light regardless of status, fame, or power. Here, every person, victim or defendant, has the chance to be heard and judged fairly. And what about us, the outsiders watching this story unfold day by day? If we were in their shoes, would we have the courage to speak the truth? Would you be willing to stand for justice, even if it meant losing everything? Tell me your answer.